Hello and welcome and namaste from New Delhi. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Gautam Roy. Coming up over the next 30 minutes. EU Chief Ursula von der Leyen dials Trump and Ukraine Zelensky after Russian strikes in Kyiv hit EU offices and the British Council. Mounts pressure on President Putin for peace talks. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to embark on a visit to Japan. He'll attend the 15th India-Japan Annual Summit. There will be discussions on defense and security, trade and economy, technology as well on agenda. Democrats in the US House Foreign Affairs Committee call out Trump singling out India with tariffs as hurting Americans and sabotaging the US-India relationship. And US Fed Reserve Governor Lisa Cook files a lawsuit claiming Trump has no power to remove her from office, launching a legal battle which would reset norms for the American central bank's independence. First up, Russia pounded Ukraine with missiles and drones early on Thursday, killing at least 15 people, including 4 children, in the capital in a sweeping attack President Volodymyr Zelensky said was Moscow's answer to diplomatic efforts to end its war. At least 38 other people were wounded in the hours-long assault on the city, which damaged buildings in 7 districts, including the headquarters of the European Union mission to Ukraine and the British Council. Mayor Vitaly Klitschko described the attack as one of the biggest ones on the city in recent months. European Union Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas said that the EU is summoning the Russian envoy in Brussels after Russia's overnight drone and missile attack on Ukraine's capital damaged the EU delegation's building in Kyiv. Also, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen has condemned Russia's latest strikes against Kyiv as outrageous. She announced that Brussels will soon impose fresh sanctions on Moscow and is pushing ahead to use frozen Russian assets for Ukraine's reconstruction. Von der Leyen also spoke to US leader Donald Trump and Ukraine's Zelensky, telling them that Russian President Vladimir Putin must now be brought down to the negotiation table.
I'm outraged by the attack on Kyiv, also hitting our EU offices. This was the deadliest drone and missile attack on the capital since July. And as you can see behind me on the screen, it was an attack also on our delegation. I just spoke with our deputy ambassador, and I'm relieved that none of our staff were harmed. Last night's attack struck in close proximity of the diplomatic mission, the representation of our union. 2 missiles hit in a distance of 50 meters of the delegation within 20 seconds.
Meanwhile, Russian authorities said they destroyed over 100 Ukrainian drones overnight. A Ukrainian attack sparked a fire at an oil refinery in the Krasnodar region but caused no casualties. Russia said its attack had hit military industrial facilities and air bases and that Ukraine had also attacked Russian targets. The Kremlin said it was still interested in pursuing peace talks. Moscow has regularly denied targeting civilians. Ukrainian officials say scores of civilians have died in Russian strikes on densely populated areas over the recent months and thousands since the start of the war. Now, the strikes damaged the European Union's mission and British Council offices in the city. The European Union and London summoned Russian envoys to protest. There were no reports of casualties at either site. German Defense Minister Boris Pistorius has said that a new Rheinmetall factory would shore up weapons supplies for Ukraine as well as for Germany and its NATO partners. According to Rheinmetall CEO, Pistorius spoke during the opening of Rheinmetall's new ammunition plant in northern Germany, which will be the largest in Europe at full capacity. Along with Pistorius, the opening of the plant was also attended by NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte and German Vice Chancellor Lars Klingbeil.
I learned in my life quite early that there is one rule you should obey to always. Never put anything off the table before the negotiation started, and never put anything on the table before negotiation started. That would be the biggest mistake we can do. Of course, we consider every contribution we might be able and willing to deliver, to provide for security guarantees for Ukraine, but we don't discuss that now publicly. And another point is, obviously, Germany is the biggest supporter of Ukraine after the US, and our role will become even more important in the months and years to come. So there's nobody I know in the world who will ever doubt our commitment in supporting Ukraine.
Denmark, under its EU presidency, is organizing an informal meeting of foreign affairs ministers on Thursday and Friday. The meeting will provide an opportunity for a strategic discussion of the EU's security and defense cooperation, particularly with regard to the EU's military support to Ukraine and defense readiness. These informal meetings take place once every 6 months. Well, despite a large strike on Kyiv, Kremlin has said that on Thursday that it was still interested in pursuing peace talks on Ukraine. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said Russian forces were continuing to target Ukrainian military and military-related infrastructure and has not deliberately targeted civilians. But Ukraine was continuing its own strikes against Russian infrastructure as well, including against civilian infrastructure. That's what Peskov charged Ukraine of.
The special military operation continues. You can see the attacks on Russian infrastructure and often on the Russian civil infrastructure by the Kyiv regime are also continuing. The Russian armed forces are also fulfilling their task. As I stated, they continue to hit military and military-related infrastructure facilities. The strikes are successful, the targets are being destroyed, and the special military operation continues. At the same time, Russia remains interested in continuing the negotiation process in order to achieve our goals.
Shifting focus to the U.S., Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook has filed a lawsuit on U.S. President Donald Trump, claiming that he has no power to remove her from office. Cook's lawsuit said Trump violated a federal law allowing the president to remove a Fed governor only for cause when he took the unprecedented step on the 25th of August of announcing he would fire her. Trump has accused Cook of committing mortgage fraud in 2021, a year before she joined the Fed's governing body. Democrats in the U.S. House Foreign Affairs Committee have hit out at Donald Trump for what they call a double standard penalizing India for buying Russian oil while sparing China, which is the largest purchaser. The committee warned that Trump's 50% tariffs on Indian imports are not only hurting Americans at home, but also undermining 2 decades of bipartisan efforts to build U.S.-India ties. Taking to social media platform X, the committee said, and I quote, "Instead of imposing sanctions on China or others purchasing large amounts of Russian oil, Trump's singling out India with tariffs, hurting Americans and sabotaging the U.S.-India relationship in the process. It's almost like it's not about Ukraine at all." End quote. Indian-American lawmakers too have voiced their concern. Congressman Suhas Subramaniam has said, and I quote, "These tariffs will raise costs on every American and actually hurt manufacturing in our country." Congressman Raja Krishnamurthy went even further, saying the new tariffs announced by President Donald Trump are reckless and self-destructive. Now, tensions are high among locals in Chicago as Donald Trump has threatened to send National Guard troops to address gun shootings and rising criminal activities. Trump has already deployed about 2,000 troops in Washington, D.C. Opposition leaders, including Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, have questioned Trump's legal authority to send such troops. Other concerns are being voiced by Chicago's community groups. While citing drastic decline in incidents of shooting and homicide this year, they argue that such cases could rise with the presence of National Guard troops. Now, the Trump administration has proposed new rules to restrict the duration of visas for international students, cultural exchange visitors and foreign journalists. Officials said the move is designed to tighten oversight and reduce misuse. The proposed regulation would create a fixed time period for F visas for international students, J visas that allow visitors on cultural exchange programs to work in the US, and I visas for members of the media. According to the proposed data, the student and exchange visa periods would be no longer than 4 years, while the visa for journalists would be up to 240 days, or in the case of Chinese nationals, 90 days. Britain's Defence Secretary John Healey on Thursday held talks with Japan's Defence Minister Ken Nakatani in Tokyo. In a joint press conference, the UK Defence Secretary said that the discussions reflect the fact that the partnership with Japan is one of the most important defence and security partnerships.
Today we've discussed our deepening cyber and wider defence cooperation, and the UK is proud to be the first European army to have exercised with your forces on Japanese soil. We are proud to be taking our air and our naval cooperation now to new levels.
Now, Japan's top trade negotiator cancelled a visit to the United States at the last minute on Thursday, further delaying talks designed to finalize a $550 billion investment package offered by Tokyo in exchange for relief on punishing tariffs. Ryosei Akazawa, Japan's top trade negotiator, was due to fly to Washington to craft a written confirmation of the terms of the package, such as the split of investment and returns between the US and Japan. US Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick had also said that there would be an announcement this week on Japan's investments. Japanese officials have repeatedly said that they would rather have an amended presidential executive order first to remove overlapping tariffs on Japanese goods before releasing a joint document on the investment details. Japan's government spokesperson Yoshimasa Hayashi said that it was found that there are points that need to be discussed at the administrative level during coordination with the American side. Therefore, the trip has been cancelled. Let's now take a look at some other stories making news around the world as well. Car sales in Europe rose to 5.9% as a jump in Germany outweighed drops in Britain, France and Italy. Registrations at Volkswagen and Renault rose 11.6% and 8.8% year-on-year, respectively. It was not a good news for Tesla, as the firm saw a loss of market share for a 7th consecutive month. Artists Doja Cat, Sabrina Carpenter and Mariah Carey are set to perform at the MTV Video Music Awards 2025. At the MTV Awards, Mariah Carey will be honored with this year's Video Vanguard Award. The show will be hosted by rapper LL Cool J. A Taylor Swift-themed bar in Manhattan called Champagne Problems celebrated the news of the singer's engagement to National Football League star Travis Kelce with pins and friendship bracelets, while Swift's music videos were played in the background. And still to come in this edition of DD India Live. Border Guarding Forces of India and Bangladesh hold Directors General Level Coordination Conference in Dhaka. And the world's largest financial inclusion program, Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, completes 11 years.
When enough food is produced to feed everyone on the planet, hunger should be the thing of the past. How did we get here and what can be done about it?
India is a very important country for us, a very important partner. We also hope to be tapping into India's growing influence in the world. So we have signed a letter of intent to establish a partnership where India will make available in a predictable way affordable and high quality rice for our operations.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Gautam Roy. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is set to visit Japan for 2 days starting Friday. This will be Prime Minister Modi's 8th visit to Japan and the first summit with Prime Minister Yoshiba. The highlight of the visit is the 15th India-Japan Annual Summit. It drives the agenda of the India-Japan Special Strategic and Global Partnership. Shubhendu Ghosh reports from Tokyo.
the invitation of Prime Minister of Japan, Shigeru Ishiba, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is visiting Japan from 29 to 30th August to participate in the 15th India-Japan Annual Summit. This will be Prime Minister Modi's 8th visit to Japan and the first summit with PM Ishiba. The annual summit between India and Japan represents the highest level dialogue mechanism that exists between the two countries, and it drives the agenda of the India-Japan Special Strategic and Global Partnership.
This is a significant visit for several reasons. It's Prime Minister Modi's first annual summit with Prime Minister Ishiba. It is also his first standalone visit to Japan in nearly 7 years. He last visited for the annual summit in 2018. This will be a visit that will be fully dedicated to the bilateral agenda between India and Japan. This is also Prime Minister's 8th visit to Japan since he took office in 2014.
The two leaders will review the special strategic and global partnership between India and Japan, including defense and security, trade and economy, technology and innovation, people-to-people exchanges, as well as discuss issues of regional and global importance. The visit will reaffirm the long-standing special bond of friendship between India and Japan.
India and Japan are trust-bound partners, aiming at becoming the two largest pillars of growth. Growth that is open, rules-based, democratic, the kind of growth that China could ill afford to supply. Prime Minister Modi may still miss his soulmate, the late Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, but we must go on. And with the present leader, Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba, both leaders should dream big and think long.
A special cultural welcome awaits Prime Minister Modi upon his arrival in Tokyo. During his visit, PM will engage with the Indian diaspora, interact with other political leaders from Japan. He will also participate in a business leaders forum with captains of Japanese and Indian industry. These interactions are aimed at deepening the vibrant trade, investment and emerging technologies partnerships between the two countries. After Tokyo, both Prime Ministers are expected to travel to Sendai, a city known for its semiconductors, in a bullet train. India and Japan are two of the leading democracies in Asia and among the 5 top economies in the world. When the two leaders meet for the annual summit, they will have an opportunity to take stock of the progress made over the years in diverse domains, from security to semiconductors. India-Japan partnership also has significant implications for the Indo-Pacific and beyond. With camera person Anil Thakur, Shubhendu Ghosh for DD India in Tokyo.
Now, India and Japan also share civilizational ties. As cultures connect, how does it influence our food preferences? Well, DD India Shubhendu Ghosh has visited an Indian restaurant in Tokyo to find out more.
Food has the magical power to transcend boundaries. Today we are at a popular Indian restaurant in Tokyo to find out how Indian delicacies are making their way into the hearts of the Japanese. This is Nirvanam, an important stop for lovers of Indian food in Tokyo, starting in 2005 as the first authentic South Indian restaurant in Japan, bringing in the diverse flavors of India to Japanese and international audiences.
Japanese, they're very foodie people. They like all the food, especially they want to try the different kind of food and especially curries. But they need less spicy curries. And we introduce lots of South Indian food too. The Japanese people, they like.
Known for its authentic taste, traditional recipes and warm hospitality, Nirvanam has introduced countless Japanese customers to the diversity of Indian cuisine.
I like Indian foods for about 40 years. When I came to this restaurant, I found this restaurant very, very good. I like dal in general, And the most favorite dish is sambar. Yeah, sambar and sambar wada.
Spicy soup, spice curry. Yes, it's fresh for us. Because Japan is only soup, miso soup or soba or udon, so many spices is fresh for us. And this restaurant and the people is so fun and happy, so it's very interesting.
Beyond food, Nirvanam has played an important role as a cultural bridge between the peoples of India and Japan. With camera person Shailendra Chauhan, Shubhendu Ghosh, DD India, Tokyo.
And in a major boost to India's semiconductor ecosystem, CG Power has set up a state-of-the-art semiconductor manufacturing unit in Gujarat's Sanand. Union Minister for Electronics and IT, Ashwini Vaishnav, has inaugurated the facility along with Gujarat Chief Minister Bhupendra Patel. DD India's Meghna Dev spoke to the Union Minister on India's semiconductor mission and workforce development. Listen in.
Sir, we are in Sanand, and if to speak in the context of Gujarat, how do you see Sanand becoming a hub of producing semiconductors? Because we are seeing massive plants coming up, and you also said that the Micron plant is as huge and it's taking time to be constructed.
In 2022, Honorable Prime Minister approved the India Semiconductor Mission. As a part of that mission, 10 projects have been approved. Out of those projects, the projects which were approved earlier, the construction is going on at very good pace. One of the plants is CG Power.
Yes.
Today the pilot line in CG Power has been started. Very soon we'll see the Made in India chip coming out of this plant. Simultaneously the Keynes plant also is progressing very well, and the Micron plant, which is a very large plant, that also is progressing very well. Overall, the semiconductor ecosystem, which is very important for Atmanirbhar Bharat and Viksit Bharat, that is now taking shape in a very systematic way. We have been able to cover practically every sector: automobiles, telecom, defense, space, power electronics, consumer electronics, display modules. Practically every manufacturing sector today requires semiconductors. And as a part of the semiconductor mission and as a part of these 10 plants which have been approved so far, very happy to share with you that Honorable Prime Minister's vision and focus of developing this industry is now becoming a reality.
Sir, when you're talking about 2030 vision of $100 billion industry in semiconductors, what's being done for the workforce development? Because these are high volume operations.
That's a very good question. Semiconductor manufacturing is a very precision manufacturing. It requires lots and lots of efforts to train people in manufacturing semiconductors. So we have taken multiple steps for that. First, to train the people to work in the clean rooms, that's a different process. For that, we have NAMTech, we have IIT Gandhinagar, we have tie-up with LAM Research, where students are getting trained to work in semiconductor clean rooms in the factory. Then comes the design part. So we have given the latest design tools to 278 universities, where Cadence, Synopsys, Siemens, all these latest tools are being used by the students, and they are designing the chips. And I'm very happy to share with you that 20 such chips designed by students have been now taped out, which means manufactured, in semiconductor laboratory at Mohali. So this is a great achievement for the country, because overall globally, if you look at it, there would be very few universities and very few countries which can claim that the students studying there can design a chip and manufacture it.
Now, the world's largest financial inclusion program, Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, or the PMJDY, has completed 11 years today. To mark the occasion, Prime Minister Narendra Modi wrote on X, and I quote, "When the last mile is financially connected, the entire nation moves forward together." That is exactly what the PM Jan Dhan Yojana achieved. It enhanced dignity and gave people the power to script their own destiny, unquote. India and Bangladesh have agreed to curb transborder crimes during DG-level border talks by adopting extra precautionary measures such as increasing coordinated patrols and enhancing vigilance. The agreement came and was issued by the Indian Border Security Force and Border Guard Bangladesh upon the completion of the 4-day Director General's level of border conference in Dhaka. Both the sides also agreed to remain cautious and steadfast to stop smuggling through sharing of real-time information, investigation reports of traffickers, and remaining extra vigilant to curb such crimes. And that's all we have for this edition of DD India Live, but do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. And for those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India's mobile app. It's available on both Android and iOS. Just scan the QR code on the screen and download the app right away. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Gautam Roy, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.